Violetta Moser's journey to her small office south of Charlotte began thousands of miles away in Peru, where she was born and grew up in a family of 5. Her life changed abruptly in 1980 when the communist group The Shining Path rose violently to power.
The Shining Path was violence, a lot of unrest, people marching on the streets, bombs exploding at different times. Of course, at that time, as a teen, I did not realize that. All I knew is that there was a lot of difficulties for my family, for the local people, the city, strikes, places closing, lack of food, and that was the reasons why my parents allowed me to leave home.
She left Peru as a teenager to finish her education in America.
After spending a couple of years in New Jersey attending school, I got married. My husband and I moved to North Carolina, to Rocky Mount, North Carolina, with our first professional job. My intention was looking really for the American dream. The American dream is the success that the USA has been able to display for the rest of the world. Success for me was buying the beautiful house, climbing the corporate ladder.
Her corporate world was banking, but as her American dream came true, her past as a Latina woman from a land of strife caused her to redefine success.
But the success that is more personal and more human is what I discovered. The success for me was defining how I got along with people and what I was able to contribute to the people that are around me. But eventually I began to understand that there was a value to it, as I myself was not realizing what my heritage meant to me and to others. I came to realize that I was defined by the people that saw me with my Hispanic label.
In 2010, Violetta gave up her bank job and went into the nonprofit world. She is the executive director of the Latin American Women's Association, or LAWA.
It's an organization dedicated to support education for Latino students in the Charlotte region. Mary Oaks Elementary School is a school located in an area with immigrant population. LAWA has its Padres y Padrinos, parents and godparents, mentor-tutor program. But we also do something fun for them that helps them with their social development called Dancing for Diversity.
It's fun, and I can learn new things.
What kind of things?
About different cultures.
Not only brings that happiness because they bonded and they learned something new, but that they're motivated to also help in their community.
The transition from childhood witness to terrorism to children dancing is community building that is at the core of the William C. Friday Fellowship for Human Relations.
Friday Fellows are a group of people from across North Carolina. The program requires us to read quite a bit, to write quite a bit. One of the objectives is to really do an introspection of who you are. William C. Friday, Mr. Friday, came to speak with us. Speaking with him was speaking to someone that really understood. He was all ears, he listened, but he was very empathetic of many issues. As I went through the program, my views and perceptions became much more humble. The Friday Fellows gave me the opportunity to look inside and find out what my real passion was, something that was not completely fulfilled while I was doing different kind of work, but finding it here, closer to serving people.
And Violetta says the fellowship program also taught her that serving people, especially the poor, means you need something else.
You have to have courage and go against the grain sometimes to be able to state or manifest something that might be wrong. Courage is something that I had to work really hard on.
As a Friday Fellow, she learned that courage is a building block that is needed to start tough conversations on issues that matter.
Speaking one's truth is stating what's in your mind, what you really think or feel about a situation. Speaking one's truth is not just go along with the rest, not to cause anyone to be upset. Remaining silent and quiet will not create any changes. If you want to see a change in your society, at home, in your community, you're going to have to speak your truth. You're going to have to be able to voice your opinion.
For Violeta, who has achieved a great deal of success in America, speaking her truth often means promoting the touchy subject of immigration reform.
People tend to ask me about what do you think about the immigration laws and the changes and justice. Those are very difficult topics and challenges that requires a lot of courage. I think it takes special people to be able to have the courage to be able to speak the justice for others. I believe strongly that the U.S. is a better country because of its immigrant population. Before and now and probably in the future, we need to look at our policies and make changes to it.